All right, what's going on, you guys? So we about to do a new series. Every Friday, I'm gonna do like the trade of the week. Like, what's my favorite trade of the week? Either I'm gonna do my own personal trade that I took for the week on the combines or on the challenges, or I'm gonna do my favorite trade that I caught out in my gold chat or any of my chats that I have. But for this week in particular, I'm gonna focus on gold. It's so crazy, bro. Gold. So let me rewind. I started trading it again like more recently during like the beginning, I said like the middle of November, I started trading gold. And for me, it was more so like excuse me, I was trading during Tokyo. So I was predominantly only trading during Tokyo. New York session always seemed like it was just choppy, a lot of noise, but Tokyo session always seemed smooth for me. So I was trading in November, I was trading in December, the whole month of December, I still was trading it during Tokyo. And the same as that setups was playing out perfectly. And this was back when I was just aiming for 100 pips every single time. For me, 100 pips a day, I'm not a day, 100 pips a trade or 10 points a trade was more than enough that all I needed on gold. And that was considered a winning trade for me. So then we get into January, February months, volatility starting to come back in the markets. Same setups presents itself, but now at a higher rate and a more volatile rate, right? So that means now it's more opportunities for us to catch swing trades, more opportunity for us to make a lot of money off the charts. I just realized I'm sharing my screen right now. So like on my screen right now, y'all see right here, this is one of the trades I caught out last night for London session. We got a retest back to like the Tokyo low at the time. And this was the buy area that I told my center shot to look out for. And as you can see, swing trade all the way back up until the high of the week, which was at 52.15. And actually, I'm still holding this trade, but I got my trailing set right under the zone again. Now, you might think, oh, this is the trade that he's about to talk about. No, this isn't even the trade I'm about to give y'all or like kind of like recap on. But this was another example of a trade that played out beautiful on the charts. I might title this video like strategy that I'm using to pass challenges. And also, before we get into this video, I am about to do a new series with FTMO again. I remember FTMO, I think, was the first series that I started on my YouTube channel. So it'd be fun to do another series running the back. I still gotta decide if I want to do the one step challenge this time or if I'm gonna do the two step. I think I might just do the two step just because of the different benefits of it, but I'll do that. I'll explain all that later on when I start that series. But for right now, let's get into my favorite trade that I called this week. Let me actually favorite trade I called, obviously favorite trade that I took. There's been a lot of trades that's like there's really so many I can choose from. I'm not gonna lie. I guess I should say this now, but this week we ended the week 11-1, 12-1. I didn't update it. I'm sorry. We ended the week 12-1 on the charts. So literally 12 in the trades, only one loss. And the trade that we ended up losing, my analysis still wasn't even wrong. The timing of my entry. So like we lost, and then the market pushed up enough for the retest, and then I called the exact same setup again, and then it played out like better. So like really I went 13-0 as far as like overall direction analysis, but we did take a loss on gold. Um, I'm looking for it now. Actually, which play do I want to? There's so many examples I can give y'all. I don't even know which one I want to talk about. I think I know which one I want to talk about, but because I'm trying to decide like which banger. So it's two things I want to give y'all for go. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give y'all like a semi strategy that I use, but I'm also um gonna go back to the 25th. This setup right here, all the way back over here. So one thing I like about Go, and like I said, I didn't wish I was like really trading it. I could have been trading this for, but God timing. Everything happens for a reason, right? But it follows market structure to a T. And one of the main principles that I taught you guys on the YouTube channel in the beginning of the year is the exact principle of what you need to trade gold. And it's my favorite strategy that I've been implementing. I've been telling people like, look, ain't even strategy, but like understanding market structure. If you understand, if you love price action, this is gonna be for you, right? Understanding your lower high levels, your higher low levels, right? And that's literally the definition of gold. Every time gold pulls back, it is creating a higher low. All you have to do is understand where those levels are going to be at, mark those levels, and just pay attention to those zones, because eventually gold is going to make its way back to those zones. And when it comes back to those zones, that's when you execute on the trade that you want to take. So every time it came back to this higher low level right here, look, that's a buy opportunity. Boom. It came back to this higher low level right here, sold off. Came back to this one, keep buy opportunity. I'm gonna get into all that a little bit later, but for right now, I gotta make sure I be on point, because I know I can literally talk and just get ahead of myself. So I'm gonna focus on the actual setup that I called out. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna share my screen so y'all can see the setup. All right, so I'm assuming y'all can see this. Oh, y'all can see like partially. Why can't y'all see the whole thing? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just screenshot this because I'm gonna try to be able to see like the actual price. Let me stop my share. And then we're gonna do it this way. And of course, now I can't see myself moving. But this is the update. I want to show y'all the setup before we got there. I do apologize. Next time I'm gonna make sure I'm like way more organized, so that way I don't feel like I'm just yapping to y'all. All right. Share screen. Yes. All right, cool. So this is the exact setup that I sent out to my chat. As you can see, I mark up my zones, I mark up my lows and highs from each session. That's a gem within itself. But all I wanted to see, I want to say, this was New York session. As we got into Tokyo, I knew for Tokyo session, I wanted to see a retest back to London high, or it could have been in New York. If it was in New York still, I just know I wanted to see that retest back to 5208. And then from there, this was the play that I was looking for. As you can see, my TPs are always set like 100 pips away. So this was TP 100 pips, 200 pips, 300 pips. And then stop loss, depending on how I've been roughly just doing always a 10-point stop loss, 100 pips stop loss, just because if you know gold, you can't, you can really trade it. Let me get back to the charts. You can really trade it with a tight stop loss if you want, but 9 times out of 10, you might get whipped out before your setup even come to play, compared to a person that's letting their trade breathe a little bit and just sizing down on their risk per trade. Now, let's get into what I said, what I saw. So as you can see, at the time, this was the highest point. This was London sessions high. Typically, previous sessions, when markets come back to retest, those are high volume levels that we can look for to expect some type of rejection, whether it's for the downtrend for sales or if it's for the uptrends. If we're at a low of the day or a low of a session, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get buy opportunities out those buys down here, and you're gonna get sell opportunities up here. A lot of times, people might see volume, right? Let me rewind right here. People might see volume and assume that gold is going to continue to sell right here. Like, oh, momentum is looking amazing. It's about to look for sales. And for me, coming from a pair like US 30 or NAS 100, where it loves volume and it just booms, it keeps going for the reversal. Keep going for the downtrend. I had to learn quickly that gold isn't like that. Gold likes to respect market structure. It's going to bounce off of this level for the buys, right? So now, as we get into the setup that I called out for this day, actually, now that I'm looking at it, this was still during the year session where I was able to catch these swings. So the entry was simple. Came back for a retest to the resistance. I know I want to look for key price action levels. This is a key area. This is the area I'm taking sales at. My stop loss is sitting above the high, 52.20. I'm letting my stop loss breathe. This is actually a little bit more than because my entry is 52.08. This was a little bit more than 100 pips. Obviously, 100 pips would be 52.18. Now, this is another gem that I'm gonna give y'all. I don't even think I talked about this in my academy yet. Basically, whenever I used to look for buys doing Tokyo, like if it was like to pass a combine or if I'm just stretching out to try to make 1500, I will notice that wherever the high was at, or let's say this was the high, typically you might be able to squeeze out an extra 100 pips because I'm assuming that's what people here have their stop loss at, right? Like they put it right at the wick. Some people had their stop loss rate 100 pips above, and then there's a dump that always happens. So like when I learned that I could catch that extra 100 pips and then take profit for the buys, and I used to always see sell-offs after that. That's how I'm able to predict or how I know like, okay, cool, I need to let my stop loss be able to breathe. Like my personal preference, if I was actually paying attention, I think I told them in the chat this was a sell limit. So we just activated as soon as price came back up into that area. If I was paying attention, really, I would have preferred to either enter off of this wick or just put my entry like a little bit above. So that way I could have stretched the stop loss a little bit further and I could have really had a zero drawdown trade instead of worrying about like this pullback. But I didn't care because I'm confident in how gold moved. Now, this ended up playing out like butter, but I'm gonna give y'all some game. If I didn't take this entry, my preferred entry, like what I look for to take my sales on gold, is I love to look for lower high entries only. I don't enter gold off momentums. I don't fall for it because gold, if you know gold loves to pull back. So for me, whenever I'm looking for gold setups, I always make sure I'm following the same strategy I taught y'all at the beginning of this year, lower high entries only. I'm waiting for some form of a pullback. And once I get that pullback, then I'm taking my entry for the sales and then I'm looking for that continuation. Some people might say like, oh, you're waiting for the market to expand first. You look for the expansion in the market. And then once it gives you the retest for the continuation, that's the way you want to take the trade, right? I can get super technical and use proper vocabulary if y'all want, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible because trading gold does not have to be that difficult. So as you can see here, it ended up melting off. Now, you see this right here? This bad boy right here. If I didn't take this entry right here, this was beautiful sales. I'd have been sick. Oh my gosh, I'm selling. This entry, this pullback right here was the lower high entry that I want. My stop loss goes above the high all the way back up here, or if I want to do just 100 pips, 52.16. And then I'm looking to target that previous zone or previous support level that I'm over here clicking stuff. I'm over here looking to target the previous levels that gold just showed me was support. So already we know we're not surprised that it bought right here because at the time this was a previous higher low structure, which is why I tell y'all mark up y'all levels, right? So this buy area, I'm not surprised. Boom, we bounce. Great. I have my beautiful sell entry. My first CP target should be back to this support level. And then as it continues to break out of this support, or if it does break out of support, because obviously at the time I wouldn't know, right? Then I have my next targets that I'm looking for, right? So earlier in the video when I was kind of like talking about, oh, identifying higher lows and stuff like that, it's important to mark up these levels because now you see where your target should be at. And then as it does it, cool. You move your trailing in profit or stop being greedy and just take profit. Set your TPs and actually stick to your TPs. Because you'll find like if you're sticking to the strategy, you're gonna be good, right? If you're sticking to the strategy, you're gonna be good. The moment you try to milk it or do extra or try to get more, then it's like you're stopping your edge. You're stopping your winning success record from happening on gold. And what I'd like to tell people all the time too, I guess I could say it again for you too. You want to make sure. Actually, I'm gonna keep this video nice and short too, because it's about to be opening bell, and I want to see how this market about to play out. But you want to make sure that if you got a strategy and you constantly are seeing success in your strategy, if you don't go ahead and increase your lot size, focus on catching quality setups, right? And just leverage more on your position. So that way you're not chasing the markets. Like get comfortable risking more on your position. So then that way, instead of trying to hold, if you catch 300 pips, you'll make $1,000. How about if you catch 100 pips, you make $1,000. If you catch 200 pips, you make $1,000. I know everybody account size is different, but that's the reason why I be preaching to my students about do challenges, do like leverage the prop firm space because they give you access to the capital to leverage risking $500 to make 1,000. Like literally, when I first started trading gold, I was like, cool, I'm gonna do 5 contract, especially now too, because they depending on what if you would touch stuff, I know they minimize your macros and stuff over there. The FTMO is green over here. Now, but let's say for top stuff, for example, since they minimize how much you can trade per position with the micros, if you go 5 contract, you can risk $500. And then with the strategy I'm showing y'all, like just that simple lower high structure, paying attention to previous zones. TB1 is 100 pips. That's $500. That's the 101. TB2 is 1,000. That's 200 pips. Cool. That's you risk 500 to make 2,000. I mean, if you risk 500 to make 1,000. Cool. 1 to 2. Then we go. Let's say it goes for 300. If you're trading zone, if you understand the key support and key resistance levels, now we're talking. You're risking 500 to make $1,500 per trade. And then once you start paying attention to how gold is operating between these levels, then the scalability is endless, right? I'm speaking from experience. And this probably won't be my last breakdown that I'm doing on gold because it's been, I could have picked any setup from this week alone. Some people might argue that wasn't even my best play. I probably would say that one was, and then the buy limit that got activated. And there was another sell limit that was like literally 2 points away from activating with zero drawdown, and then immediately smacked all my TPs. But obviously we didn't catch that one. Sick about it. But pay attention. I understand now. I understand what the hype is about gold now. Especially if you know what you're doing with it. I understand it for sure. So that is this week's trade of the week. Hope you guys enjoyed like the quick breakdown, quick favorite trade. I want to say like next week, well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna give you some more sauce too. One last sauce before we head out. Because this is what the sauce was for the month of March. I mean April. I mean, I'm tripping. February. I don't know what March is going to bring. Basically, I posted about this on Threads. Every Thursday night, Tokyo session low always ends up being like a key area going into New York. It always ends up being an area that we can look for swings going into New York session. That was the sauce. I posted about that, I think, about a week or two ago. And here go, still playing out perfectly to a T. Now, as we get into March, new market conditions. The reason why I pushed up for the buys, besides like obviously the news that just dropped, we're about to get into the new month. So the market is just clearing the spaces. So that way we're getting ready for the new month conditions. And it's gonna be interesting to see what the new month will bring. We still got all-time highs we can go potentially tap, but ultimately we still have a zone right here as well that needs to like either close above or fully retest before we get to figuring out what we're gonna do. I think potentially this might actually get tapped today. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when market push to 52.48. All right. I will catch y'all in the next YouTube video. For my students, I'll catch y'all in the academy. Peace out.